Okay, so let's talk about the theory behind mastering a little bit. And primarily, we're going to talk about what our goals are for mastering. Why do we do this? Why do we go through this whole process? Um, the way I think about it, there are two goals for mastering, two things we're trying to achieve. One is to make our track as loud as possible. Now, there's some caveats to that, and we'll talk about that in just a minute, but loud. Second is clear. So loud and clear is what we want our track to be. And this is something that gets done in the mastering process. So when you're mixing, what you're doing in a track is you're listening to all the different layers of the track, all the instruments, and you're comparing them to each other. Okay. And you're getting the best mix. So you want, let's say you've got your drums and then you've got your guitar, right? So what you want to do is you want to listen to that drum track, and then you want to get your guitar. Maybe you want it a little louder than the drums, maybe a little quieter than the drums, maybe right on there, but you're going to mix that relative to the drums or whatever your starting or reference track is, right? Then you're going to add in your bass, and you're going to mix that relative. And then you're going to add in any synths or anything else, vocals. You're going to mix all of those together. They're all relative to each other, okay? When you're done with that, you're going to be like, sweet, I have a great mix. I am happy with my mix. And maybe it's good and loud mix. Maybe, but maybe it's not, and that's okay if it's not. The job of mixing is not to make the loudest mix. You want to get your mix as loud as it can be, but it won't be as loud as a mastered mix, because there's special things we do in mastering to make it a little bit louder. More on that in a minute. So you mix relative to all the other instruments on the piece of music, but you master relative to all the other tracks that the listener might be listening to, right? The example of the radio. I think I already mentioned this, but when we listen to a track on the radio, we don't want to listen to one that's quieter than all the other ones around it. If we do, someone's going to reach for the dial and they're going to turn it up. Okay, if they turn it up a whole bunch, then the next track is going to come on and it's going to be really loud and it's going to blow their ears out, right? They don't want to do that. So we want our mix to be just as loud as all the other ones that are on the radio. Maybe radio is a bad example for the modern age. I still listen to the radio, but Spotify. All the tracks on Spotify, we don't want one that's quieter or louder than the other ones around it. If it's louder, it's probably distorting. And if it's quieter, you're going to turn it up. Or worse, if it's really quiet, Spotify is going to apply some algorithm that's just going to boost the volume for you automatically, and that's probably going to make it distort and sound not great. Okay, so loudness does matter. The other thing we want is clarity. So what we're going to do is we're going to listen for any problematic frequencies. Is there a whole bunch of bass stuff piling up? Is there a whole bunch of high stuff? Is there some ringing frequency going on? We're going to just kind of nip those out and deal with those. And then we might even apply, if the track needs it, a little bit of what we would call sweeteners, a little bit of extra stuff just to make it polish, just to make it shine a little bit more. Okay, we'll talk about all of that later. But our main two goals, loud and clear.